Well, also tonight, there is a new statewide initiative just announced today aimed at making sure New York is prepared for public health emergencies. The State Department of Health has officially joined the World Health Organization's Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network. This comes about a month after President Trump withdrew the United States from the WHO. It's a move that Governor Kathy Hochul says compromises the country's safety and ability to respond to future pandemics. Dr. James McDonald is the State Health Commissioner, and he joins us live from Albany tonight. Sir, it's great to have you on. Appreciate you taking the time. How did this come about, and what is sort of the practical impact of New York State joining this entity?
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be with you. And, I have to tell you, it is great to have a governor who's a champion of science and public health. And when we presented this to her, really what we look at is there's a threat to New York. Without having the World Health Organization right there at the ready for us, a lot of people come to New York, and a lot of people come to New York for good reason. It's in our best interest to know about global infectious disease threats, but it's not just a one-way street. We're the New York State Department of Health. We have one of the best public health labs on the planet. There's a lot we can do to be helpful as well. We have expertise that, quite frankly, just doesn't exist outside of New York State or anywhere in the world. So there's a mutual benefit to this relationship that we're really excited about.
How concerned are you about the fact that the United States government has removed itself from some of these international organizations? Because we live in a world that's very different than even just a few decades ago in terms of movement around the globe. A virus doesn't stay still for long.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the concepts I learned in medical school is what I don't know about my patient might kill them. So it really inspired me as a medical student to learn as much about my patient. And I carry that practice through as a public health physician. What worries me about the United States is we're choosing ignorance. And by not knowing what is going on the global scale, that doesn't protect anybody. This is a lot of why New York State reached out. And by the way, they were happy to have us, because they recognize that we can offer quite a bit at the table as well. But my feeling is I really want to know what's going on. I want to see what the threats are. If I know this, I can maybe make an impact even before it gets to the United States. This is a role the CDC used to play, but other states are seeing we have to pick up this role as well. Keep in mind, there's about 360 organizations that are part of this network, so really robust network. I think there's a lot of value here for New York State.
Dr. McDonald, a lot of the talk lately, and you can look this up online and find 100 stories, is about this resurgence of measles across the United States. We've talked a lot on this show about why that's the case, but we have not seen a big outbreak in the state of New York. We have higher vaccination rates here than a lot of places where they are seeing the outbreaks. But are you worried about measles making an appearance here in New York State?
So I'm vigilant about measles. I'm not worried about it, but I'm vigilant about it. New York has really sensible laws. Like, in other words, you have mandatory vaccine schedules in New York. You have to get this vaccine in New York to go to school. So I'm vigilant about it. When we see a case in New York, it usually comes from international travel. But I really think it gets to the national threat, and why I think to some degree the United States is going to lose its elimination status. The national threat is because we're really not seeing the national public health voice really talk about the importance of the measles vaccine, which quite frankly has been around as long as I've been around. So there's really not a lot of moving parts to that one. It's just really one of the best vaccines out there.
Finally, sir, a big reason why the U.S. government under President Trump has removed itself from cooperation with W.H.O. and other organizations revolves around claims of corruption and that sort of thing. Are you satisfied that this is in the best interest of New York State, considering some of the controversies with W.H.O.?
With our relationship, no money changes hands. In other words, we're not paying them, they're not paying us. So quite frankly, I can't speak to what the president says. What I can say is, we know who we're joining. They know us. We're interested in just protecting the public. That's what they're interested in as well. We just want your best health outcomes in New York State. That's really all we're trying to do here at the New York State Department of Health.
We so appreciate your time on a day in which you made this big announcement. New York State Commissioner of Health, Dr. James McDonald. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.